Time is 6:04. So we'll do the call to order. Martina McNichols.
Present.
Ronald Keels.
Present.
Derek Dahlmullen.
Present.
Ralph Lopez, I'm present. Kim Bickham.
Present.
We'll stand for the pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God and indivisible.
And then the regular pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to remind everyone, when you are to speak, to hit the button so it gets picked up online. Okay, so we're going to open for public comments. There's no public comments. We're going to get there. No, sir, you're fine. Okay, so it's a public hearing to hear the input from the public regarding a zoning variance to Chapter 77, zoning section 77-27B. And one is the minimum lot size, City of Manvel, in open single-family residential zoning district for approximately 0.972 acres of land, including right-of-way dedication, located along the southern side of Pollard Drive, abutting to the property at 7028 Pollard Drive on the east side, described as being a 0.972 acre tract of land out of lots 54 and 60, Allison Ritchie Gulf Coast Home Company Suburban Gardens Division, Section 73, as recorded in Volume 2, pages 91 and 92 of the Brazoria County Plat records in the HT&B RR Co. Survey Abstract 301, Brazoria County, Texas, providing for variances to minimum lot size in the open single-family residential zoning district from the city's zoning ordinance, providing for severability and providing a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of the violation of any provisions hereof. So we'll hear any public comments. Come on up. Come up to the podium. If you can state your first and last name for the record, please.
Robert Gibson, it's Gipson, and I live at 6539 Granbury, which is just south of the property that's being discussed. And I just want to express our concern that they're already within 4 to 5 inches of rain. There's already that entire area back there is pretty much underwater. And I'm really concerned with building a decent-sized single-family residence is going to just really increase that. I know we have another, 2,500 homes or so coming in to the left, west of there, but my real concern is that building something right there is directly going to affect our property, because we're directly across that little drainage ditch, certainly during Harvey, but during just a 4 to 5, 6 inch rain, we have water that comes up right to our fence into the backyard. And I'm just concerned that any kind of building up back there to build a single-family residence is going to affect our property. And that's it. I just wanted to express that and just let you know that we do have a concern about it.
And your property's on the southern?
On the south side, we're in the Lakeland subdivision, just on the other side of the little drainage ditch there, on the fenced-in side of Lakeland.
You-
Just south of Mr. Knuckles' property.
Okay, and you are in the Lakeland subdivision?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you. Any,
You don't have any discussion on that, but you're gonna call it a second time for comments.
okay, second call for public comments?
I'm not sure. My name is Mike Knuckles. Can I
Sure.
address the board? My name is Mike Knuckles, and I'm the one in question that owns that property out there on Pollard Drive. The property out there in Manvel, or over here on Pollard Drive, I've owned that property since 1991, and it's always flooded out there. As a matter of fact, when I bought that property, I bought it during dry times here in Manvel. When I went out there to look at that property after it flooded one time, I almost cried because it had about 2 foot of water on it. So where there's let me back up a little bit. Let me give you a little bit of history about myself. I moved here to Manvel in 1984, and I married a little girl over here in Lincoln, in Manvel here, Lynette Isaacs, and her parents co-signed for us to get a little mobile home out here. You know, just young guys starting a family, and got a little mobile home over, set it up on her parents' property. We had a 6-year note on this thing, and when we got it paid for, we moved it out here. We found a piece of property out here, and that's a piece of property we found. And the gentleman that sold it to us, owner financed it to us. And like I said, I bought it during dry times, and when I came out there, it was totally underwater, had 2 foot of water in it. I said, well, there's no sense in crying about it. I hauled about $2,000 worth of dirt in there, put that mobile home in there, and that's where I started my little family. I've raised 2 sets of kids through Manvel here. I've been here a long time, and through E.C. Mason, where the old E.C. Mason is, all the way through, Alvin High School, and then I've had a second crew come through, E.C. Mason, and go all the way through this high school here. So, I've been here, I've been a long-time resident here in Manvel. So I've watched this whole town grow up, and I love this place. So, in 91, after we paid for that trailer after 6 years of paying for it, we moved over here to this place in 91, and we bought 2.17 acres, and it was all fenced in. Well, there's a Quonset shop that's right next to it that the gentleman who's selling the property offered that to me as well, and I wasn't able to buy it at the time. You know, me and my wife were just getting started, had a young daughter. So a year later, almost to the year, I bought that property January the 15th of 91 is when I purchased that property over here, the 2.17 acres. Almost to the year, January 23rd of 92, I purchased the next acre, the next part over, which is 0.97, okay? So now I've got it, and it's all fenced in, so it all goes together right there. When I sold that 6 years ago, and I'll get into that story in a little bit, but I sold that. So I didn't sell the shop there that's there. I sold the 2.17 acres. So as time goes on, I lived there for 6 years, 8 years, and let's see, I bought the next property over where my brother's been living there for over 20 years. So I moved that mobile home in there, which is 23rd, January 23rd. Okay, June 2nd of 1998 is when I bought the next property over, which is 0.97 again. You know, I didn't create this, this is what it was when I bought it, way back. You know, I've owned this property a long time. So then after that, after my brother moved in there in 98 is when I bought that property. And then in 4 years later, I bought the property which we're talking about now, which is Lot 60F in 2002. So I've owned that property over 20 years. And, and I bought it for privacy so no one would move in on my brother, okay? Well, about 6 years ago, my wife's parents live up in northwest Arkansas, and her parents got sick, and they own a beefalo farm. And I run a lucrative business here out of Manvel. It's called Affordable Mechanical Welding. I'm a stainless welder. I worked at Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper. Good job, good place. So I shut a business down, and I run a business here from 2007 to 2018 here. I paid my taxes. I've never been late on a tax bill here. I've been a good citizen of Manvel for many, many years. Like I said, I paid all my school taxes. Has anyone looked at the new taxes this year, what they've come out to be? My taxes on that particular property right there, I looked at them yesterday. I went to the Missouri County Appraisal Department. They went from $58,000 to, that property was last year, 22 was $55,840. It jumped over 100%. The taxes did. It's $115,000 as of today. That's what they're assessing it as right now. So anyway, back to the story. My wife, her parents got sick up there, and she wanted to go to Arkansas to take care of her parents. And I said, okay, that's fine. So we moved to Arkansas. That's where I've been up there taking care of that. So what happens to me, the only reason I'm even selling this property, this is the whole deal. This is the catch of it all. I've been backed in the corner here. I move up there and I didn't shut the business totally down, so I'm still doing tax audit, not tax, I'm still doing sales tax. So I do sales tax, I'm doing nothing with the business, so sometimes I'm on a farm now, so I don't report, so they penalize me. Not a big deal, I pay my $50 and I'll get it the next month, and I just roll along there. I'm trying to shut the business down as I'm up here working on this farm. Well, they did an audit on me because I was late a couple times, and they had an inexperienced auditor, and I'll tell you that right up front, because this lady doesn't even work for the Texas Comptroller anymore. But she did an audit on me and said I owed them $80,000. And here's the deal: I worked at these places, and these are big companies, and they don't allow me to not collect sales tax, because the deal is, if I work on a conveyor that has everything to do with bringing their product in and making their product, that is non-taxable because that's a food product. But if I'm working on a fan over here in the wall that has nothing to do with their product, that's taxable. And I do everything because I'm a millwright. I do everything. So I kept all that straight through the years. So this lady does an audit on me and says I owe them $80,000. I'm in Arkansas. She's telling me I owe them $80,000. I'm freaking out. So I get my tax lady involved here, who's in Texas, who's representing me. And so she says, look, we need tax exempt certificates. I go back to Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, Mrs. Barrett's Bakery. I go to them, I say, look, I need tax exempt certificates. They said, no problem, Mike, no problem. I get all my tax exempt certificates and I present them to them, send them to her. She's my representative. It goes through, they reduce it, they get it down to $29,000. A year goes by, I don't hear anything from them. I'm thinking everything's good. They come back at me this year, again in February, and they said, Mr. Knuckles, you owe us $29,000. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, we've contacted your tax lady, and no response. So it went through the court system, and a judge ruled on, and you owe $29,000. I said, so what happened was, after digging into this a little bit, my tax lady who represented me and my company, her husband got sick and had cancer, and she wasn't able to respond to these emails. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They say I owe them $29,000, and they want their money. So there's nothing I can do about it. And I called the lawyer who represented the state of Texas in this, and I said, hey, how do I stop this runaway train? He said, you can't, Mike. I can find a lawyer all day long that'll fight the federal government about taxes. You hear it every day on the news. You hear it on the radio all the time about we'll get your taxes reduced. There is nobody, no lawyer, and as a matter of fact, Texas has laws that says that you cannot fight them over sales tax. So here I am. I'm $29,000. I don't have $29,000, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't have it. I've got a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong. I've got 2 Harleys. I've got some things in life. You know, I'm almost 60 years old. I've worked hard for my things that I have, but I don't have $29,000 just laying around to give them. So here I come down here to Manvel, which I've owned this property, like I said, for years. My brother is very upset at me because now I'm trying to sell this property that's next to him that I bought 20 years ago for privacy. And the only reason I'm selling it is because I'm backed in a corner. So I go to sell it, and the first thing they want to know is, can we do something with the property? So all I'm doing is I'm asking for a variance for a single-family dwelling to guarantee the buyer, whoever that may be, whether it's this gentleman back here or whoever, I don't care. The bottom line is I've got to get the money, and I've got to pay the state of Texas. You know what they're doing to me? They're telling me they're going to penalize me. They're going to, they're threatening me, like they do on everything. So they're coming after me over this deal. So if I get this variance, I can sell this property and guarantee the buyer that, look, you can build something on it, and I can walk away from it. You know what I mean? And my brother still has his acre. Let me tell you something about my brother. I told my brother 20-something years ago, I said, hey, man, you can move out here. He's living in Alvin. I'm not saying anything. This is just the kind of guy I am. My brother's living in Alvin, paying $500 a month. He's got 2 kids. I said, look, you can come out here to Manvel. I'll put this trailer over here. I'll rent it to you for $300 a month. He said, no way. I don't want nothing to do with Manvel. I don't want to live out there. I said, look, so he starts helping me build this. We're talking about over 20 years ago. He starts helping me build this trailer and get it remodeled. You know what he does? He moves in there over 20 years ago, and you know what he's paying? $300 a month still. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's just what it is. You know what I mean? I don't want to sell that place. I don't want to sell any of it, but I don't have any choice. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at. I just don't have any choice. So that's why I'm asking you, please, just look at where I'm at and the reason I'm doing it. And, like I said, I've been a good, outstanding person here in Manvel for a long, long time. I paid my taxes. I've never been late on anything here. And like I said, I've been in this deal for a long time. I watched this corner down here when there was nothing here, this building here when there's nothing here. I mean, I've been here a long time. So, thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Last call for any public comments.
And then you'll close it with the time.
We'll close for public comments at 6:19.
Now you go to the regular agenda and read this out loud.
Okay, so now we're to consideration and possible action to approve a zoning variance to Chapter 77 zoning, Section 77-27B, 1, minimum lot size in open single-family residential zoning district. The subject site is located along the south side of Pollard Drive, abutting to the property at 7028 Pollard Drive on the east side.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, I was going to call, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
I would like to give you a quick overview of the request and staff's recommendation. As the property owner mentioned, I'm sure you all have an idea about where the property is located. It's along the south side of Pollard. It is north of the Lakeland subdivision. And the property doesn't have an address assigned, but it is adjacent to 7028 Pollard Drive. The subject site is located within the open single-family residential district, and this district requires a minimum lot size of 1 acre. And the subject site right now is a .972 acre. It was a lot created way back when we did not have zoning. And all the lots, in fact, that are on the south side of Pollard are approximately 0.972 acres. And there are a couple of lots which are under common ownership, so some of the lots may appear to be larger, but they were all originally 0.972. That is an overview summary of the subject site. So on the south side, as I mentioned, we have the Lakeland subdivision. That is a different zoning district. It is the single-family district that allows for lot sizes that are lower than 1 acre. Now, I would like to go over the variance criteria that we have within Section 77-73 of our Code of Ordinances. I would like to read out that the Zoning Board of Adjustment shall not grant a variance unless it shall in each case make specific written findings based directly upon the particular evidence presented to it which support written conclusions that, and then there are 3 criteria included. 1, the granting of a variance is necessary to secure appropriate development of a parcel of land which differs from other parcels in the zone by being of such restricted area, shape, or slope that it cannot be appropriately developed without modification. Number 2, the granting of a variance will not be materially detrimental or injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood in which the subject property is located, nor impair an adequate supply of light or air to adjacent property, substantially increase the congestion in the public streets, increase the danger of fire, endanger the public safety, health, and well-being, or substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. And finally, the variance desired will not be contrary to the general purpose and intent of these regulations. In addition, we also have 5 criteria which was established by the House Bill 1475 effective September 1, 2021, which allows an additional criterion to the 3 mentioned above, the 3 that I just mentioned, whereby ZBA can consider if other matters are in compliance with the city zoning ordinance, the items including, number 1, the financial cost of compliance is greater than 50% of the appraised value of the structure, as shown on the most recent appraisal roll certified to the assessor for the municipality under Section 26.01 of the tax code. Number 2, compliance would result in a loss to the lot on which the structure is located of at least 25% of the area on which development may physically occur. Number 3, compliance would result in the structure not being in compliance with a requirement of a municipal ordinance, building code, or other requirement. Number 4, compliance would result in unreasonable encroachment on an adjacent property or easement. Or number 5, the municipality considers the structure to be a non-conforming structure. So I would start with these 5 criteria that is provided by the House Bill. These are more pertaining to like existing structures on a property whereby compliance to a certain standard will have those impacts that I just read out. In this situation, the subject site is vacant, it only has vegetation, it doesn't have an existing structure, so these are not applicable. And I would go to the three criteria that are Section 77, the zoning ordinance of a code of ordinances include. So number one, as I already mentioned, the subject site is 0.972 acre. The property owner bought this particular tract, subject site, and two other tracts adjoining, but all of these were bought in different timelines, and all of these three are 0.972 acres. So there isn't room for the owner to combine these lots in a manner that you can achieve compliance without losing a lot. So no matter how you try to combine it, there'll be a loss of a lot. But as the property owner said, these lots were purchased separately, not with an intent to combine, or not with an intent, not with an intent to be used as separate tracts. So without the variance, it wouldn't meet that 1 acre requirement, hence platting will have an impact, issuance of building permit will have an impact. Number two, the second criteria is about whether granting of the variance will materially be detrimental to the neighborhood. Number one, the tract, it is 0.88 acre, and that is including a right-of-way dedication that would be needed for Pollard Drive when the property is going to be developed. So that is not a significant reduction to cause congestion or significant reduction from the minimum lot requirement of 1 acre. And finally, the final criteria is that the requested variance is not going against the intent of the regulation. So for the open single-family residential zoning district, the intent is to allow for large acreage where you have at least 1 acre, which allows for a little openness within neighborhoods. At the same time, allows for installation of a well and septic system together, and there is enough room to meet all the setback requirements for that. Now, the reduced lot size is 0.88 acres, and it's not, again, significantly lower than 1 acre. So therefore, the feasibility of having the well and septic system is still there. And at the same time, it's still close to that 1 acre. Thereby, it's not like significantly smaller lot where that openness is going to be missing with an average size house on the property. So based on these three criteria, what staff's analysis finds is that it is in line with the intent of the comprehensive master plan goals, which led to the establishment of the zoning district. It's in line with the intent of the regulation, and therefore staff is recommending approval, however, with two conditions. And the first condition is that the variance shall expire when the acreage of the subject site changes, whereby if it is made part of an adjoining lot or if the acreage is increased somehow, the variance would expire so that the lot cannot further go back to a reduced lot size. The second condition that staff is recommending is that the variance shall expire if the zoning designation of the subject site changes from open single-family district, to avoid a situation where if for some reason in future another zoning district takes precedence, this variance doesn't cause a problem in terms of development of that property. With that, if you all have any questions for staff, I'll be happy to answer that. I would also like to mention that we met all the public hearing noticing requirements established by the state of Texas. And we had sent a total of 19 letters to adjoining property owners. Nobody reached out prior to the meeting, and we have one gentleman who spoke regarding the application.
Thank you.
I have a question, just to clarify. You're saying that the 0.883 acres is not significantly smaller than 1 acre, right? Like the difference in reduction?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So,
Okay.
so what we're saying is, so the lot size is currently 0.972. And I think I also included what the difference was. So the difference is 0.117 acres, which would be approximately 5,096 square feet,
Okay, thank you.
versus the total 1 acre would be close to 45,000 square feet. Or maybe a little more, right? Yeah, 1 acre would be 43,560 square feet.
My eyes aren't the same, but does it say it's 128 feet across, so we have enough frontage on Pollard for the driveway?
Yes,
I know that
is
we have, I
correct.
think it's 95 or 100 feet, I don't know the
So the
exact.
minimum requirement on this zoning district is 120 feet, and I think the property has about 128.
That's what it's, okay, I was making sure it said 128.
And regarding the lot area, I want to clarify that right now, the lot area is 0.972, and whenever the property will be developed, an additional right-of-way dedication is required, and deducting that, the lot area becomes 0.883.
Any other questions? So I'll go out and say, in my opinion, based on what we heard and the recommendation from the city staff, is to approve the variance based on the two conditions, as in, it expires if it's broken down or anything like that, or what'd it say, subject site changes due to further subdivision, which that would be put into the ordinance, and so it wouldn't matter. The buyer would agree to that, whoever Mr. Knuckles sells that to, that's going to be part of it. And then the variance also would expire if it changes from a open single, so if it were, I don't know, zoned commercial in the future or something like that, they would have to do it again, or go back and the variances would expire. Any,
Whatever is built there will still have to get drainage approved before building.
That is correct. There'll be multiple levels of reviews, permit applications made, and staff will review, make sure all the drainage requirements are met.
but for us, we're only here to consider the variance from 1 acre to 0.97 to the 0.88 after the right of way, whenever that does happen, if it ever does happen. So the drainage, that would be, not considered at the moment. Any other questions? Anybody have any comments?
I do have a question, just out of curiosity. So the adjoining lots are of similar size? And
That is correct.
and those are occupied?
So one of the lots on the west is vacant, it's not occupied, and that's not owned by Mr. Knuckles. The two lots on the east are owned by Mr. Knuckles. One of the lot abutting this subject site has a mobile home where his brother lives. And the other lot has a air hangar, like a hangar, or maybe like a barn.
It's
Yeah,
on-
it's an
it's on-
accessory
It's on page 7.
Okay, 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 thank you.
So, I'd like to motion for a vote, if you guys are okay with that.
I'll give you a second.
I'll make the motion. And you'll second that motion? All in favor for granting the variance?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I think we had, everyone? No opposed? So the variance is granted based on the zoning board of adjustments. The time is 6:34.